Hey everyone, you're listening to the Draftful Dodger podcast, episode 6, season 2. And as usual, in front of the microphone, I'm your host, Vova Zeeon, an amateur comedian in Toronto from Ukraine who tries to make it in here. And this podcast is definitely about comedy and definitely about my way, but not only because at the second season I've started to take some interviews from the comics that I like to see on the stage and that I am admiring with. So if you like the stuff that I'm doing, don't be afraid to support me on Buy Me a Coffee. You can just tap on a link in bio and go and donate for this project because this is really important for me, and if you actually love the stuff that I'm doing, you can also show me how it is important for you. But today it's a pretty interesting episode because I'm gonna talk to one of the guys who actually seen me first time on the stage here doing first time English comedy ever. He runs the Bucket Show at Comedy Bar on Bloor. He is one of the Second City troupe right now. And he is also famous by such projects as TallBoyz and $20 Sandwich. Please warmly welcome Tim Blair.
Let's do it.
Hey, thanks for coming. Good to see you, Tim.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me, Vova.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting because when I started to do stand-up in here, and actually my first mic when I've been pulled out of the bucket was the Bucket Show.
Okay, lucky night because people don't get up every night, so that's good. Yeah.
That's true, and that's the first time I've met you, and I've talked to you after, I guess. And one of the other nights that I did my set, I don't remember, were you hosting or was it like Peter hosting, but you were in the sound booth?
Yeah.
And I did my set and you came up to me and told me like, dude, your humor is too smart. So I was like going through the whole year after and then trying to understand, was it like a compliment or was it like the direction to make it a little bit easier?
I mean, I don't remember that specific instance direct, or I don't remember what joke it was, but I think it was like you clearly had I think it was more communication. Like you had an idea that was clear and comedic, and I think just somewhere in getting it out, like it was a bit too cluttered for the audience that they're like catching up to get the joke. I can't remember it specifically, but yeah.
Yeah, now it obviously doesn't matter. It's like it's a year has passed, but like I've been interested in general how it affected like the performance because it was really important for me at that time. I really couldn't understand where to move because I've been focused too much on the jokes writing, but not about like delivery and understanding who am I.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and that's the thing where because joke writing is so great. Like ultimately, at least personally, like it's my favorite part of comedy. I love a great joke that you can repeat and become like an office joke or whatever. And when you're focusing on the joke writing, like it requires just abstract thinking, of connecting to different ideas, to create that point. And I think sometimes in that, you have been thinking about this joke and these topics so much that, comics can forget how to relay that information to an audience. Because when you're telling the joke, sometimes you're making this connection that sometimes you have to hold the audience's hands to get through. And I think that's like the big challenge of stand-up is just like, because I think anyone can be funny and I think any idea can be funny, but the challenge is how to articulate your idea the best way to be as funny as possible.
Yeah, how to serve it.
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Yeah. How to plate it like a dish, the little nuances, like a garnish, like
True.
That is like, you can have a good meal and a bad meal but the best Michelin places, it looks fancy too, I guess.
Yeah. Sometimes it may taste like shit.
Yes.
But obviously, like
absolutely.
The presentation is really important too.
Yeah.
Okay, like a lot of people know you from Second City and TallBoyz as well. But your first stand-up set was actually a high school project at 15.
Yes, yeah.
That I know. And looking back now, how much of Tim Blair's current comedic voice was already hidden in that 15-year-old kid?
and 15-year-old set.
Yes.
And how much was just sheer survival?
Definitely, there's a lot of survival. Like, it was nerve-wracking. I went to an arts high school, and I was in a drama program. And when we were in the 10th grade, that's when we did this stand-up unit. And I think like a lot of people were freaking out because, I don't know, it's hard to talk and have an opinions and try to be funny. I think that's a big thing about stand-up is like you're saying jokes and there's supposed to be a laugh. So if there's no laughs, everybody knows it. So a lot of people in that unit were like freaking out. Like I had a good friend of mine like plagiarized. He stole Betty White's material or whatever. He got called out for it. So it's definitely, there was a little bit of those survival instincts. But I think there were the nuggets of what I liked about in comedy in there. Definitely. Because I did do that same set I did later at my very first open mic a couple years when I was like 18 in the city. And I did the same jokes. Some of them worked, but some of those jokes only hit because, I was telling them in front of my classmates where, they have a previous understanding of who I am. But it was very fun. I think before that I was studying like Anthony Jeselnik because I love a one-liner and I like listened to so many of those jokes to try and understand the structure of stand-up. And Hannibal Buress had just dropped his first album and that like blew my mind. I really love his use of personification. Like he always like talks from the point of view of like, inanimate objects or people or just ideas. Like, And I think those were what I was, trying to do a parody of in my stand-up. And I think those, are still a part of me. Yeah.
So what did you feel basically, like you were doing it in front of the classmates, but I bet like a bunch of adult people were as well in there.
Yeah, there's some teachers and stuff. Yeah.
Like how was it for you that understanding that your 15-year-old set, you just did it like at the 18, at the age of 18, and how people reacted because it's completely different. Like you were getting more experience even in those 3 years after.
Yes, fair. Yeah, life experience. Yeah, absolutely. But like, because I didn't really do much outside of school. I didn't do much performing between that. I did maybe 2 sets because I did that one set at 15, and then I think like a year later there was some event, and the teacher remembered like, oh, you did well in that stand-up class. Come back, and I really just did the same material. Sorry, what was the question? I think I forgot.
How do you think it was different from 15-year-old and 18-year-old when you just did? Like even 3 years is the huge gap from that kind of generation to the 18.
I think mainly just coming into yourself a little bit, like and just it's. I think you're so insecure as a teenager, and it is nerve-wracking. I don't think 15-year-old me would have even had the courage to do it in front of an open mic and an audience of strangers. Like I think it was a bit easier because I knew people in the class, and like amongst my friends in my class, like people knew I was funny. I had a sense of humor, so in that element, I could feel a bit confident. But it was very nerve-wracking doing my first open mic because there's all these comedians, but there's not really many audience members. But you see them go on and you see them they're hilarious. They've got these fully flourished bits and stuff, and it's like, oh, my turn, and like just awkward and like didn't have proper mic technique or anything like that. But I at the same time like. It took balls to get there. So
Was it that exact time when it like hit the switcher and you were like, I want to do that for life. I want to do like stand up or sketch comedy or like improv. And that was exactly that moment that you realized, 100% I will go for it.
100%. Just hooked. And I remember that first set at 18, after then, I had already gone to the Humber. Like it was definitely, I think it was 15 when I knew. It's like, oh, this is what I want to do. Because I just liked, the process of writing jokes. And like, I like to journal and think about things. And then from that, doing that stand-up unit in high school, I learned about the Humber College comedy program. And, they toted that Nathan Fielder was a graduate there. And it was just the first year that the first season of Nathan For You had came out. And I had already been a fan of him from his previous work in Canada. But this show blew my mind. So I knew I wanted to go there. And then in my first day of class at Humber Comedy, I went up to the stand-up teacher, Larry Horowitz, who is this very seasoned comedy vet. And I just asked him, I want to get good at stand-up. What do I do? And he told me just get as many sets under your belt as you can. After your first 10, you feel so different after the first one. The first 50, especially at the beginning, there's so many benchmarks of becoming comfortable on stage. The first few times on stage, I wouldn't say I blacked out, but after the set, I couldn't remember what happened just because, it was so nerve wracking.
Yeah, it's like the tunnel vision. You are basically not understanding what are you doing, but you are hearing sometimes the silence or the laughs, and it can be multiplied.
Yes. Yeah.
or not. Or you're feeling, oh fuck, I'm bombed so hard.
Yes.
Or yeah, I killed. But then you're doing the recording it.
Completely different. Yeah. Absolutely. So yeah, definitely. So, and I heard that and it's okay, then I'm deciding tonight I'm going to hit my first mic. And definitely at Humber, I don't think I went a week without doing an open mic the first few years. I was doing at least 4 or 5 a week and just getting them under my belt and just, feeling that growth. And yeah.
No, solid. You just remembered Nathan Fielder.
Mm-hmm.
And I was also interested when you were first starting out in Toronto, who were the comics or groups that made you realize what was possible, and how did you just avoid copying them?
Mm-hmm.
And while trying to figure out what works for you in that way. So
I think in the begining, there definitely is a little bit of copy, no doubt. That's how I learned just the jokes of I'm not using their jokes word for word, but I'm listening to my favorite things and thinking about what they do. Jeselnik is using a hard misdirection on a touchy subject, and he's using your preconceived notion about whatever taboo thing he's talking about to make a left turn to surprise you. And that is something when I first started, I was a one-liner guy and had dark one-liner jokes a lot like Anthony Jeselnik. And I think in doing that, as long as you're putting effort in, you're learning, and then the as you go on, you see what about that you like and keep, and what about what you've put on doesn't work, and you shed that. And I think at the beginning I was just collecting so many influences and trying so many stuff on. I tried jokes in the different comedian styles that I liked. Some of the people I was a big fan of. There was Picnic Face, which was a Canadian sketch troupe here that I was, the first time I got on YouTube and the internet that's what I watched. And because of how small the Canadian scene is, quite early into comedy, you get to meet these people who to me are celebrities, but I'm on the same lineup as them and I'm 2 weeks in kind of vibe. They're due to how small the scene is, it's fortunate for me because you get to meet these people and see them and get further inspired. Like Mark Little, he was one of the members of Picnic Face. He was a big inspiration. Some other comedians, I remember discovering Rory Scovel. He was very fun, and his heavily improvised approach to stand-up. He still had bits and jokes that he returned to, but any kind of version of stand-up, any set could take a left turn. That was really big. Hampton Yount, who isn't the biggest name, but he was very inspirational. Just a great, sharp joke writer with really some sardonic takes. Those are definitely some of the names.
Sounds great. So mostly what I've just noticed, you've been talking about jokes that are actually make you admire is like misdirection, some storytelling, and some sketches as well.
Yes, yeah.
That's cool. That's interesting. Okay. Let's get to the Second City part. So at the Second City, main stage shows are literally created through live improvisation. Yeah, in front of audience, and it's before making them like into scripts.
Yes.
So how does the constant live feedback loop help a performer to create something and like to sharpen the instincts and discover what uniquely resonates from their own perspective?
Oh, that's great. It's really cool. It's a lot like a stand-up's approach.
Yeah.
But it's with sketch comedy, which is nice. Where, getting that immediate feedback, like you come up with a premise, you kind of talk it through during the day, and you're like, oh, this is a funny idea. And then immediately you can see what lands and what doesn't. And with Second City, you're doing these shows 6 nights a week, which is great because, there's some jokes that'll hit 40% of the time. So you'll try a joke first, and then, you'll get a different crowd with a different energy. And being able to do it over and over again in front of so many crowds, you can find the version that is, the strongest.
Yeah.
Or, at times the most broad, where it's like a joke that can hit with any audience. Because, the demographic of Second City can be, people in their 80s to, young kids and teens or whatever. And being able to have a show that anyone can laugh at is huge. Like, not every moment is like that. There's definitely some that, veer towards a target demographic. But, in doing the show that brings such a big crowd because it's a tourist attraction, you want to be able to have it hit in front of, every crowd you can.
So basically you're also like video recording the sets, like the shows, yeah?
Yes.
During those 6 nights, and then you're like, okay, that may work. And that how it lands right now. So how we can improve it. We're trying something new next show.
Yes.
Or whatever. Like that's like the basic thing that you're doing for writing in there?
Absolutely, yeah. They have videotape and everything, and there's a director who is watching the show every night, and you do notes, and he gives you feedback, or they give you feedback. For me, it was a guy, Kyle Dooley, just now also a member of Picnic Face. But yeah, they give you feedback and steer you in the right course. And yeah, it is so nice to and especially with improv where you really get to take things in different directions. You know what I mean? Like you can pivot and go a completely different direction another night and just get to experiment. Where I think like sometimes when you write a sketch first, you have that written version and you're just trying to punch up, make what that written version is the best, but it's hard to go back to the drawing board once you've done all this work and it's concrete, where it's like, wait, what if the sketch had a completely different ending? What if we, went to space for this? And, just because everything's improv, you can follow an impulse. And then also you get surprised when you're improvising. That's the fun of improv. I think it scares a lot of people who aren't into it, but it's a parlor trick. And there's, people are afraid of failure, but failure's our friend in improv. Because, when you're doing it, you can either say something clever and funny, do the best of your abilities and get a laugh, or you can try to do that and fuck up. And people are still going to laugh because they see you fucked up. They're with you in real time. And in those fuck ups, sometimes you find a joke, a new line, a new direction a scene can go. And I think that's all. The one last thing that's also really helpful in Second City of their improv process is sometimes when you write a sketch in a sketch troupe, someone's writing the sketch and it's like they're playing this big character, and then all the support characters are, furniture or decoration to help service this. But in Second City, when it's written through improv, everyone's on stage. Everyone gets to author their own part in the scene. So maybe the guy who's the straight man in the scene, heightening the rest, can still find moments of jokes, levity, and their own kind of instances, where it's like everyone's you're writing what you're saying, so you can make your track, what you want to do. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes completely. Okay, so like according to your words, like you basically can be like a star of a sketch, or you can just be like the secondary character. Yeah. So like, what is your favorite part of it? For example, would you like to be like a star of a sketch, or would you like to make your partners like star?
Yeah.
So it's really important, I suppose, in improv, because like mostly people are trying to be like, I want to be really funny. And
Yes.
sometimes can ruin the whole vibe and the.
Absolutely, and especially when you're building a full length show, it's about sharing the spotlight and the stage time. And like, I think going to the second city, you want to have the attitude of like, how can I make my partner scene the best as possible? And hopefully they have that same attitude. So everyone's working towards the same goal. But like, yeah, I think that's in it where it's like, yeah, you want variety for a whole show. It's 2 acts. It's almost like 2 hours. So things might be one tone if it's the same person being the quarterback of every sketch. You know what I mean? Because people have different skill sets and different reference. So being able to share the spotlight and be like, oh, it's this person in this sketch and then this person in this sketch, and now these two people are working together in these sketch. Like, it just keeps it fresh and keeps the show interesting and dynamic.
Yeah, sometimes also, like, I've been watching like a lot of different comedy documentaries, especially if they were talking about the improv troupe or Saturday Night Live. They were just highlighting some kind of couples that were just like duets, which are good with each other. But like the whole thing, if we're talking about the whole cast, the whole troupe, how is it important to, and how much is it important to like support everyone in the troupe?
I think it's paramount, especially if you're performing as a troupe. Like, worrying too much of yourself and undercutting others is going to hurt the show as a whole. Mm-hmm. So I think the more you take care of your scene partners, also you build that trust, they take care of you. And it's I think it's number one. And then also, that's the thing, especially because Second City is so much improv, and improv does the best when there's chemistry. There's something they call group mind, where it's like, it's those moments where you like feel psychic because you and your scene partner thought of the same, you came to the exact same conclusion, even though you didn't talk about anything before. You're like, oh, this character we both know is secretly a vampire, and we can both elevate that and heighten that. And I think that's what makes the best comedy. From like, you can see improv that doesn't follow any of the fundamentals of improv, any of the good rules. Yeah. But if it's, people with chemistry, with a bond, and you're seeing it happen on stage, like, it'll kick ass. So I think, being there for your partners so you have that trust is number one.
For people who don't know, like, improv relies on yes and.
Yes, yeah.
And what's the wildest time a scene partner completely threw you off script? And how did it staying true to your comedic persona help you navigate the chaos in real time?
Ooh, that's a good question. That is an excellent question. Let me think. It's hard because especially now doing Second City, you do so many improv sets that they all start to blend together like a dream. But I mean, it truly happens all the time. And sometimes those are some of the best moments where, you think the scene is going one way and about one thing, and then you realize you and your scene partner have been on completely different pages, and you have to pivot to get back to it. Let me. I'm see if I can pull up. I'm searching the desktop of my brain, going through improv set folders of something that happened recently. Is there a good one? I'm sorry, I can't. One doesn't come to my mind immediately, but I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, like in the process, if you will remember it, we can just get back to it. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the thing about the improv, in my opinion. We've just covered that phase of our interview.
Yeah.
Let's move on. So let's talk a little bit about TV and sketches and what happened then. So, like, working with Bruce McCulloch. from Kids in the Hall. Like, I don't know, for us, like for me as a Ukrainian, Eastern European, it wasn't a big thing. Yeah, like Kids in the Hall. But I've just been studying all of the stuff, like Western comedy scene in general, and I understand how big is it.
Yeah.
So like he helped you to work on TallBoyz.
Absolutely, yeah.
So what was the biggest lesson he taught you about keeping your distinct comedic voice and intact when translating live stage energy onto television screens?
There was a lot. I think number one, first and foremost, he was like just so protective of the group of TallBoyz and our friendship. And I think him coming from Kids in the Hall and going through this experience of being, just a local Toronto sketch troupe that was a darling to having, all these opportunities and making TV shows. Like, there's points in their career where, there's some turmoil in between their friendship. So I think he was number one, just like making sure that, we're communicating with each other and like, still enjoying each other's company, which I think is really huge, because it's awesome to get an opportunity to make something with your friends, but is it really worth it if it destroys your friendship? But then I'd say specifically from writing sketch to TV, one of the first lessons we had to learn is budgeting, actually, where it's like sketch, because you're on stage and you're using theater's willing suspension of disbelief, imagination, anything can happen. You can have a sketch where a helicopter flies by and drops a piano.
Yeah.
And all you need is 2 sound effects. But when you're writing a sketch on TV, gags like that, a helicopter and a piano being destroyed could quickly add up. That's hundreds of thousands of dollars or whatever.
Yes.
So it's like, I think this may not be the funnest lesson, but it was so much of learning, like, to still, write the jokes you want and be as funny and creative as possible, but also there's a creativity in being like, how can I do this in the most budget friendly way? Like, of course you can there was a couple, sketches where we went all out and built a set piece or got a wild prop or a special guest. But, when you're doing a TV show that is like 8 episodes, maybe 60, 65 sketches or something.
Yeah.
You gotta learn how to balance. You can't, spend all your budget on one sketch, so everything else has to be set in a field. So I think that was one big thing for writing for TV. Yeah.
Okay, what was your favorite episode? Like, what is still most of your favorite episodes on TallBoyz?
Ooh, good question. Season 2 has some of my favorite episodes. There's like, darlings in every sketches, and in every season. Sketches I love in every season, but season 2 probably has. There's season 1 has a really fun one. We did a parody right after Drake's beef with Pusha T. Where Guled, one of the members of the sketch troupe, messages, comments under a rapper's profile. Yeah. And then this rapper comes and finds children that Guled has that he doesn't know about. And I got to double as the rapper and this main guy. I think that's definitely one of my favorites. There's one where Guled, who is 6'5", we like shrink him. Mm-hmm. He like bursts out of his own body like a cocoon, and then we have to regrow him at the end of the episode. That was a very fun one. Yeah,
that's cool. Obviously, we need to make our audience watch that. Okay, so how do you adjust your performance calibration when you don't have the immediate feedback of a live room, like shooting a TV sketch or creating short form digital content?
Yeah. I remember TV definitely was, it was a bit of a learning experience where, because you're on a set, there are like, 35 people around with jobs and you're doing the sketches. And I remember but their whole job is not to laugh. So you can be going out and it's quiet and you're thinking like, oh, am I bombing? But that's if they're laughing out loud the whole time. So yeah, you miss a little bit of that feedback, but it's also still there. Because if you're really hot on a roll or something. That's the thing, is you can still get them to laugh sometimes. Yeah, it'll ruin the take. But so there's a little bit of toning down the performance. I think because that's the thing is, I think this is something from acting on camera where it's just like, because the camera can come in so close, and a lot of small emotion stuff can still read. Yeah. Where some of the best acting performances you see in a movie is just like an actor shifting their eyes in one direction. We're on stage and live, you want to make things a bit bigger because you're performing in a room where someone is 3 meters back. Yeah. So you want it any moment to register to everyone, and I think it's a lot of toning things down.
Yeah, but that's the magic where it comes from, I guess, because I've heard a bunch of different statements about working on a camera. Yeah, so camera is the stupid cow's eye. Yeah. So technically you're just trying to do it in front of it, but anyway you want some feedback while you're doing, because it's your craft, it's your art. So what is the hardest moment when you experience, okay, I can stand it doing it on camera, but I love to do it on a live performance?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, is sometimes on camera, I think some of the tough stuff where when you're in a big wild costume where you can't go to the bathroom, where if I did the same sketch at Comedy Bar, I'd just be wearing a hat and a beard. But now, since it's a television production, there's someone whose whole job was go out there and find me an authentic pirate costume that you're buckled up in. It's a little bit of the vibe of that I think you should leave sketch, I don't want to be around anymore. But you definitely, that is a very real feeling of just you're in layers of plastic and you have to sit around for an hour so they can set up the set and stuff. I think those are the moments of being it would be nice to do this live. I could just say I'm a Sasquatch and then walk off stage and that's it.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so with TikTok and Instagram Reels shaping how comedy is consumed today, how can emerging comics use short form digital content to test their voice without losing the depths of live performance? How do you think?
Well, I think it's just going out there and making that stuff and putting it out there. I think it's a different skill set, but it's a very important skill set. And if you're a comedian nowadays, it's one of the best ways you can garner your own audience, and gives you freedom to do what you want to do rather than having to go through pre-established channels and gatekeepers. But I think, one of the good things, if you want to, because if you're doing sketches or vlogs or video pieces, it's a bit of a different skill set. But also you can just film your live stuff. You can film your live stand-up. You can film your live improv. That's still content you can put out online. And then that's you actively working on whatever your process is. And, both are valid, and it's kind of up to the person and what they want to put out there. I think the benefit of, if you're a comedian first and foremost and you want to do stand-up, the benefit of leading with stand-up or your performance as your content out there is that the audience that follows you will be automatically interested in seeing your stand-up, because that's what they're following you for. I think it's still just as good, and you can still transfer an audience, if you do video sketches and live stand-up. But, there might be a bit more of a barrier of these people I like these video sketches, but I'm not a stand-up fan. You know what I mean? That could still happen. Yeah.
Yeah. So mostly what do you think is working now? I mean, basically when you're creating the digital content, is it staying the, people who are coming to your account, they're subscribing, they're following you, is it completely different audience from that one that comes and see you live? Or you just mentioned that they can be one audience.
Yes.
But what I've noticed, a bunch of comics also can have huge ton of followers on Instagram, but they won't feel the venue with
yes, yeah. So I think it just kind of depends on what they're there for and what you're putting out. Like,
Yeah.
of course, there'll be some people who will come in interested. But yeah, I think that's. I mean, again, I'm no expert, but I'm not great at social media. But I think it is easier. Again, if you are trying to get people to come in, see you do comedy, like that's why crowd work is so big. But also, there's people like Morgan J who does musical crowd work, which I think is like those videos are very fun to watch, and it also like it is an experience where people watching it are going, "Oh, I'd love for that to happen to me. I want to be there." Mm-hmm. I think those stuff, I assume, is probably what translates to being able to move the most tickets and like getting people. If you're live, like if live comedy is what you care about and what you're interested in, I think content that reflects what's special about your live show and why they should come see you is important. And that's crowd work, where it's like, hey, this person's going to make the night partly about me by talking to me, but you could stand out by having some special version of that. To entice people to be like, to spend $30 on an Uber to go downtown and see you, like, what's a reason, club nights have a gimmick, what's your thing? I don't know.
Yeah, what do you think that it's really hard for like stand-up comics who are just like doing their monologues without that crowd work, without that element of the show? It's really hard for them to make an audience and to be heard nowadays, because like we have a bunch of different like platforms where we can go and watch whatever we would like, and people are sticking like to mostly famous comics than the newer ones.
Yeah.
So like, how do you think? Is it really necessary thing for every comic who puts out the reels or TikToks or whatever on shorts on YouTube to have their own feature, like of the show, of the live performance, to be good?
No, definitely not. Like, there's tons of people who do it classically, and there's tons of people out there who don't have a following and stuff and are still professional and still go around. Like, I definitely don't think it's essential. And I think, even if you are just someone who just wants to do stand-up, like, I think, you can put out reels and stuff there. You don't need a gimmick, of course. I think, it's something that stands out. But there's, like, if you are a great joke writer and you just want to do your jokes, like, putting them out there is a great way to get people in the audience. I think the reason why a lot of comedians do crowd work or stuff like that is just because, that part of the set, if someone sees your joke online, they're going to be less excited to see the same joke live. Like, unfortunately, it's not like music where it's like, oh, I need to hear that. Like, you ruin the surprise and the novelty of a lot of it. But that's also why, like, comedians film a special and then stop doing that material, where it's like, oh, now all this content I can come up, get people, entice them out, like, hey, this is what you can expect at my show, but you come see me, I've got a brand new act. And then that's like, oh, I like this. This is what I'm expecting. And then there's more stuff. I'm surprised. Like, I think that's how you entice them. Like, there's people like Josh Johnson who's like doing like,
like a lot of people were doing the same stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, like, mostly what I get in my recommendations is Lucy Darling, Carissa Hendricks. I guess who was also Dragosh, the Romanian comedian. He comes like to Toronto. On Friday, so he's gonna do the gig. People love that because I think they are just trying to, like, his main pivot, what I've noticed for the content, he's trying to use the flags of countries.
Yeah.
So when he does the crowd work, he just like talks in a different point of view.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So and
then that also just entices people out. It's like, oh, I'm from here. I want to hear what this person has to say.
Yeah, like he goes and like where he's from.
Yeah.
Because like, he knows that the background would be completely different, and it made him viral, like on TikTok.
Yeah.
And I think the same stuff was with Matt Rife when he started to be like bigger.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of him, to be honest, but that's the thing.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. Like, finding the sweet spot between writing what you genuinely find funny, like absurdism or dark observational stuff, and actually keeping a casual bar audience on your side is tough.
Yeah.
But how did you learn to bridge the gap between being smart or a high concept and just getting raw, visceral laughs?
I mean, it's just practice, and it's something you're always constantly working at. I think that's the craft, and what I like about stand-up is it's something you can keep on striving and find new things to work on. But yeah, I think it's just practice, and then it's nice being able to have comedian peers and people in the audience that I can talk to, and because you write a joke, you're so involved in the joke. Sometimes you just need that outside perspective of someone just being like, oh, hey, I see what you're saying, but because you say this word, people are thinking another thing. So maybe change that or change this. Because I think that's number one. Like in every level of comedy, and that's why improv works, is because you get that immediate response. And so what hits and what doesn't, and you can pivot at any point. But stand-up, it's pre-written, so you gotta say it first. But like when we were doing sketch, the most valuable thing I found for sketch writing and also just television writing is doing a read-through with people. Having your idea, you work so hard on this, but when you read it through, you hear it out loud and be like, oh, does this make sense? I know what I'm trying to accomplish. I know my ideas. But what's the clearest way I can communicate this? Because I think that's what it is overall, is just trying to explain your ideas to people. Sure, if something's dark or edgy, you might want to ease them into it with some lighter jokes first, so that they have some trust for you before you take them on a dark direction. An audience feels comfortable. But it ultimately just trying to be clear, concise.
Does the readout works with the stand-up as well?
Yes,
What do you think? Like when you're reading to yourself, for example, what you have written, does it work for you? Like you're just hearing your material that you've just written, like, okay, I don't like that. I just need to rewrite that statement or just rewrite that joke.
Definitely. But for me, reading aloud still helps. Like I will say some of my material aloud, like at home, before the first few times I'm saying it, just seeing how the words feel in my mouth and feel comfortable. But then also the live reading process of stand-up is going to a mic or doing a show, is you have the audience there to get that feedback. And then it's like, I'm someone who I record just about all of my stand-up tapes. I don't listen to all of them, but I, especially if I'm working on something, then I'm listening back immediately and being like, oh, okay, I'm stepping over my words here. There's too many words. I can slow down here. Like, it definitely is very helpful.
Okay, so we know that a lot of emerging comedians struggle for years with the phrase like your comedic voice.
Yeah,
it's like really that kind of milestone that everybody is struggling with. Like when you were trying to do stand-up comedy or just whatever, sketch comedy, improv comedy. And for you, when did you first feel like you weren't just doing jokes from the stage, but you were like, I'm already trying to deliver my specific worldview on what I'm trying to do from the stage? And what shifted you in your writing or mindset?
I think, it's still something I'm striving for. I definitely feel, better in my comedic voice of like, I now know, I know sooner when I've written a joke if it feels right or not. But ultimately, I think comedic voice is it's a byproduct. It's going to happen regardless. But I'd say maybe about 3-4 years in is when I started to feel a bit more comfortable on stage and like feel like I had a POV. But it also is constantly changing because you're growing as a person and your opinions on things in the world change. And I think, just pushing yourself to write and try new things, like that's the thing is your comedic voice is, I think it's not too dissimilar from your voice, your real voice as a person sonically. Like, you can find a range that you feel comfortable speaking in. Yeah. But you're going to sound how you sound. And I think your jokes, just by the fact that you wrote them and you want to say them and choose to say them on stage, you have a comedic voice. You know, in the beginning, you know, you might be trying to find it, but it's already there, and it's not something you need to focus on, because the more you write, like it'll just be there about what feels comfortable and what connects, and it ultimately is, I think your comedic voice is what you want to do. So I think just following your interest and what feels good is the best way for it to come out. It'll just be a byproduct of your interests.
Yes, I think like the stage time helps you definitely to take the block off.
Yes.
Well, when you are just on the stage and when you're performing, you are just trying to understand that you are there. Yeah, like you're out there not to only make people laugh, but like being yourself. And what's hard for me, I think that the real comedic voice is like your combination of all the things that you really care about.
Yeah.
But you're trying to like make people understand how they are fucked up.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, and that's really hard because like you're always trying to analyze what is the borders where you can cross the line or where you cannot cross the line.
Yeah.
And especially nowadays, yeah, we have like much more of different kind of not taboos. Yeah, it's like I guess it would be like too rough to say, but we have a lot of
touchy
things,
subjects or
yeah,
whatever. Yeah,
we are just like, we can't speak about that. We can talk about that. We can be edgy, like how we used to be like 30 years ago or whatever. So in my opinion, it's like now it's getting even harder to, you know, deliver everything that you are doing right now on the stage to show people what you're actually thinking. Not a POV, yeah, but like, okay, I got the point, but it may be wrong. Prove me wrong.
Yeah.
So yeah. But I see something. I see something in that.
I do think it can definitely feel tough to navigate, especially in the writing stage. Like, you know, a lot of sensitive areas. But I do think what it is ultimately, like, I don't think, you know, people should feel the need to shy away, or it's like, oh, you can't say anything.
Yeah.
Like, I think what it is also there, you know, because we've had all this comedy that, you know, is, it used to be easier to do. I think a lot of stuff is low-hanging fruit. And so when you bring up a certain subject, you know, the audience might feel a bit more hesitant because they've heard, you know, 50 years of comedians do jokes on this topic, on the same subject with similar punchlines. So I think it really is a skill issue where it's like, I think you can talk about anything, but now you're forced to be a little bit more clever, a little bit more nuanced, or just like approach it in a new way. Because I think, and that is the challenge of, you know, because I think that, at least personally, that's what excites me. I remember there was definitely early on one point in my comedy where, you know, some of my jokes would be like, okay, how can I make people laugh at this fucked up thing? What about this? What's a way I can approach this subject that, you know, disarms people, so they don't have their guard up? And that's the puzzle of comedy, of being like, you know, what are subjects that are adjacent to it? Maybe an analogy I can make where it's like, I can talk about racism now that I compare it to cake and pies, and people are laughing at the absurdity of cake and pies, but I say one word and people realize, oh, this whole analogy has been about racism, or insert whatever taboo or subject. Like, I think it can still be done, but because the history of comedy, you're forced to do everything. If things just get harder, you got to approach it in a new, different way.
Yeah, and that's an interesting thing, because like what I've noticed when you're talking about some bullshit that happens that surrounds you, it's really more relatable to people if you are trying to do it through your perspective. Like you're showing your own vulnerability. But in that way, you're also trying to make the bigger topic. So you're starting like, okay, I'm fucked up because I did that shit. But imagine that grow into that kind of scale. And you're just like, and people then are like, oh yeah, here's what he's talking about.
Yeah. But that is a great in, like, absolutely. And you probably your best in as a comedian is start through you and then expand out onto the universe.
Yeah, so that's the thing that I've noticed, and that's how like actually more jokes are working, because you're expanding the range. As soon as it's more expanded, because like people are usually saying what I've noticed on some comedy classes, or they're like, you need to exaggerate all the stuff. You need to exaggerate, but people are not taking it like in that certain way.
Yeah.
So exaggerating is, I guess, more and more interesting when you're just putting your own problem and trying to exaggerate to the whole worldwide problem.
Yeah. Sounds great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Every comedian dies on stage. That's true. I mean, like we're sensitive people, so
Absolutely.
So, what is your favorite noble defeat? Yeah, like a joke or a bit that bombed horribly.
Yes.
But taught you something essential about your voice or what you value as a writer.
Yeah. I remember early on, this is maybe 1 or 2 years in, a friend from Humber got to put on a show for their parents' charity. I think they're doing like a bike racing fundraiser. And this was one of the first times that I got to perform in front of an audience that was, 50s and up, like a bit older. And I remember at the time being really in my head of like, oh my God, will any of my jokes connect with people who are 50 years old? Like, like looking back, it's like, I was like doing puns and one-liners. These were probably my target demographic, but it was just like so in my head. And so I went up there, and I was early on, so I didn't quite know how to riff, but I think I wanted to riff. But I ended up just like, I almost just kept repeating my introduction, my name on stage a bunch. And I maybe did like 2 real jokes. But I would just be like saying, hey, it's me, Tim Blair. And I'm Tim Blair. And I like, and I remember that. And after that, I think what I learned is just not to second guess it so much. Because now I do comedy in front of so many people who are 50 years old and up. And a lot of them, they're at a comedy show. They want to laugh. And, a lot of jokes, they still understand. It's not like I'm doing a set that's completely in Gen Z slang or whatever. And even that, a lot of, I think my mom knows who the Rizzler is. So it'll still connect. Yeah.
That's true. Okay. So for you, as for a stand-up comic, for example, what do you think is more important to be on the stage? Like more authentic, or just reading the audience and trying to give what the audience wants?
I mean, I think it depends on the person, but yeah, for my thing, I think I'm definitely chasing authenticity to a certain degree. Like, I want something that feels unique, that is wholly my own, that I can put out there, and like, I don't think there's any shame in, doing whatever it takes to make the audience laugh. I think there's a lot of comedians who are great at that and know how to facilitate having a good time. I feel so fortunate to have started and be in the Toronto scene, because every year at the Just for Laughs Toronto Festival, I get to see so many great comedians come in, and that always like fills me, but also the whole scene, with inspiration and excitement. And I remember being so lucky to see the great Brody Stevens, who passed away at a comedy show. And he is famous. He was a warm-up comedian. He would do comedy before all these like TV shows and late nights. He'd get the audience in a good mood. And this guy, he like barely did any jokes the night I saw him, but it was still one of the most incredible stand-up performances, because he was just working on getting the audience loose, relaxed, and ready to have a good time. And he could just read the audience of the room, and he'd be like, oh, there's some tension over here. These guys aren't laughing. Hey, blah, blah, blah. He'd like do 2 jokes. He'd talk like, hey, give me a chair, like clap. Like he's like doing all this stuff, but it just like, and his whole act is reading the audience, but it's also felt authentic to him. He was like a baseball player, and I guess it's like some coach energy, but it's just like, just a phenomenal show of just like barely any jokes, just getting people relaxed and like having a good time and willing to laugh. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like everybody has its own voice. Yeah, so like everybody's comedy. So definitely that was his one.
Yes.
So, all right. For a comedian currently grinding at open mics in Toronto or just Second City stage, like feeling stuck or trying to figure out their voice. Yeah, like also for that kind of comics. What is the single most practical piece of advice you'd give them, and maybe you've been given before?
I think the most practical is just keep going, keep doing it, and don't be afraid to experiment and try new things and fail. Like ultimately, like being in comedy and in Toronto, yeah, it's Canada has like a limited scene, but you know there's still people killing it, and just the people who you can take a break, but like the people who keep on going and keep at it, like, you see good things happen. You see them get better. You see them get opportunities. Like it's a, marathon, not a race. There's room for everybody. And like in time, you'll grow. You'll find your voices. You'll feel like that's the thing is, I think early on in stand-up, again, like similar to counting those first few sets, getting to 100 sets or whatever, there's so much growth immediately. You're like, ooh, I can do stand-up without blacking out on stage. Oh, I feel comfortable talking to the audience now. Oh, I can riff. I can do this. But the longer you get and the more you do it, the more there's plateaus between breakthroughs where it's like, oh, I've been doing stand-up, like none of my bits have been really working on. Like I want to be able to do a storytelling bit, but it's not working, and this will last longer. Now it's like a few months in between. Like, oh, I broke through. Now I feel comfortable telling stories. Like, you'll keep on growing and you'll keep on evolving if it's something you care about and you're passionate about. Like, I think the important thing is to keep doing it, and like, grinding is good and will get you better, but there's diminishing returns. I think, again, marathon, not a race. Like, do comedy in the way, if you want to do it forever, in a way that is sustainable. Like if you can't go out every night a week, just, focus on writing and find the nights you are going out and make sure you're being productive and working on new things. Like, you don't have to kill yourself to do comedy. And in fact, that is, you can't do comedy if you're dead. So
no one will appreciate that.
Yeah.
For sure.
So keep going, but keep it sustainable and don't be afraid to experiment and fail.
Okay. Who are 2 or 3 local Toronto comedians or troops right now whose voice and style you think people absolutely need to check out?
I mean, of course, I've got to say Boy Fringe. They're all fantastic stand-ups in their own right. Kyle Patton, Alex Handy, Jack Hirschfield, but together they're an insanely chaotic sketch troupe that is going to take over the world. It's just a matter of time. There's so many. Nigel Grinstead, one of my favorite comics, who just kicks ass and just needs to be known worldwide. Jacob Balshin, the homie, the OG, also just a great hardworking comedian. There's many. Summer Dad, great sketch troupe. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So I ask this of every guest on the show, but when you're going through a tough week or like through rough set or just need to get locked into the zone before a major performance, like what is your favorite musical track that you're usually listening and it just makes you land?
That's a good question. I do love music so much. I definitely in the streaming era, what I listen to changes so often. I'm not coming back to a lot of the same stuff, but there's maybe something from battles. I think when I write, I love to listen to a lot of busy instrumental music, and that just gets my brain going with ideas. I want to say, is it Lottie Dottie by Battles or something?
No.
Let me see. That's something I like to listen to when I.
No, that's
right. Oh yeah, Lottie Dottie, the album. Any song off that, Yaba. That song that just gets inspired and ready to write some stuff.
Cool. I'll pick up something interesting. Okay, let's do the quick lightning round if you're ready.
Yep.
Okay, favorite stage or venue to perform in Toronto?
I love Comedy Bar. It's my home away from home. Lots of great venues. Love the Corner, but Comedy Bar's got to be number one.
Okay, one sketch in comedy history you wish you wrote.
Ooh, great question. I'm gonna go. Ooh, I love Derek Comedy was really big for me. Donald Glover's old sketch troupe. Jerry was one of the first sketches I saw on YouTube. Blows my mind. I'm gonna say that.
Okay, weirdest thing a crowd member has ever said to you post show.
Ooh, I remember this one show at the Corner where this guy came up and I feel like he was being serious. If it was a bit, it was a good troll bit, but it was just like so casual. He was like, "Oh, dude, that was a great show. You guys are so funny. Why aren't you on Saturday Night Live yet? You should be on Saturday Night Live." Just like something like it was something I hadn't considered doing, and be like, "Oh, yeah, I'll get on that. Let me call Lauren." Yeah.
Okay, next one. Drafting style: pen and notebook, phone notes app, or typing on a laptop.
I always have a pen and notebook on me. I love pen and notebook. I really do, but I do have a backup on my phone because it's just so convenient to be able to be like search a keyword of like, what's the joke I have about cows, and find it, because I have like stacks and stacks of notebooks in my room. I go back to old ones every once in a while, but there's no way of me finding a specific joke I wrote about a certain topic. So yeah.
Okay.
I'm slowly trying to translate to be digital, but I'm a pen and paper guy at heart.
Yeah, that's some kind of vibe. Yeah, you know, like that tube.
Yes.
Like the tube's music when you were listening on the tube amp.
Yeah.
Same thing. Okay, stage habit, pre-show ritual, total silence or total noise?
Good question. Maybe noise. I don't mind it being a little bit noisy. Yeah. I think, you know, if I'm doing new material, I'll need a moment to go over my set and think about what I'm saying. But if it's old one, you know, I could go straight from a conversation to on set. Like if I'm just phoning in the old stuff.
Nice. Okay, hot take. What's an overrated piece of advice given to young comedians?
Good question. Overrated piece of advice. What is a piece of advice at all? Well, that's the thing. I don't know. I mean, let me think. Well, worried about mic technique too much. I guess it's one of those things that does benefit if you are good at it, but early on I remember just like moving the mic, but also you can just leave the mic on the stand, hold it, be there. People will be able to see you behind the mic. I'll say that's overrated.
Yeah, because sometimes like people are, you need to put it away.
Yeah.
Like better if it's empty, if you took it off. Yeah. Like,
Yes. Yeah. Might as well.
But in general, yeah. Okay, improv versus stand-up. If you could only do one for the rest of your life, improv main stage or a stand-up club?
Wow. Ooh. Luckily, I don't have to make this decision in real life because I love them both. But if you know, and that's the thing, is they're not that dissimilar. I guess improv. What's nice about improv, you know, I love them both so much, but improv, it's fun because, you know, it's a team sport. You have people to hang out with constantly. If it goes well, you get to celebrate. If it goes bad, you get to commiserate. I love stand-up. It's so rewarding and so fun, and it feels so good to have it act and craft jokes that you've worked on. But like your friends are there and you get to hang out, but it's not quite the same as you know, doing improv all together, I guess. So
yeah,
it may be an edge that, but only because you're forcing me to say something. And in theory, in an improv set, I could do stand-up. I could set myself in an improv scene, and you could do improv on a stand-up show. I guess that's just crowd work, but. Anyway,
that was really, really interesting position. Okay, and the last one, best post-show midnight food in Toronto.
Ooh, good question. What's open late? Oh, King Slice pizza. If I could hit a King Slice, I love that. Ambassador, also good.
True.
What's open late?
Laziza, Gusta.
Oh yes, Laziza and both great options. Yeah, I'm just going along Bloor. Just picking what's around. Yes, and there's a diner in my neighborhood, Dairy Freeze, which is open late. I love going there, getting some Greek fries and a chicken burger. Yeah,
sounds cool. Okay, and the last thing, you can promote the show. You can promote your Instagram, whatever you would like to do. Here's your time.
Sweet. Well, I'm on Instagram at Tim Blair, but it's spelled with L's. But if you search Tim Blair, you'll find me. And I'm on stage at Second City for the next little while. Coming out, we're in the process of writing a brand new show. It's going to be a good time.
What is the most recent you've been doing right now? How was it called? Like Red Review?
World's Gone Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the review. It just ended yesterday. So right now we're starting the process. So we'll do that. Thinking of improvising some new scenes and stuff.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing, cool. And I still remind you that it was your host, Vova Zeeon, support live comedy, support arts, and of course, listen to Draftful Dodger podcast. Thanks so much, team, for coming.
Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
And now we're listening to the song you suggested.
All right, let's go.